drop that track. Hey, yo, listen, it's going down just like this.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to I'm Just Saying with NJ. Tonight's panelists are Chanel Latham, a wife, mother, author, and serial entrepreneur who has a passion for marriage and helping others grow to become their best versions. Latricia Letzinger, a divine wife, mother, and Gigi who loves God. She is a motivator, creator, philanthropist, and CEO. She is on quest to build lasting legacy and heritage for her children's children and their children. Darlene Gillard Jones, who spent the past 20 years as the idea to execution force behind some of the most well known brands and publications in fashion, entertainment, technology, and business. Prior to becoming a producer of film and television, Darlene was part of the founding team of Digital Undivided, a social enterprise that fosters economic growth through the empowerment of Black and Latinx women entrepreneurs and held senior leadership positions at and spearheaded projects for W, Essence, Elle Magazine, Time Inc., eBay, and Disney. And our host for this evening, NJ.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome you back to another episode of I'm Just Saying. Last month, we had the men with us, but this month, the month of October, we'll be celebrating the ladies. So we're going to hear what the ladies have to say. I'd like to welcome my panelists and thank them for joining me on tonight. We have Darlene, Chanel, and Latrice. We're going to get right into our topic on tonight. So my first question to you ladies is, at what point did you realize that you no longer wanted to work for anybody? I'm just saying. Any one of y'all can answer first.
I would love to actually answer that first. I was dying to answer that question. So when I was working, I was a fashion editor for Essence Magazine. And I had been working really long hours. I had young children and I was, traveling, and it was a lot of late nights. And things like that. And so I remember one day the editor-in-chief at the time called an emergency staff meeting. And she called everyone into the office and she said, I'm leaving. I'm quitting today. I have a daughter who starts school tomorrow. I haven't bought her any school supplies. I've been running a business, a bed and breakfast, and I just am overwhelmed and I'm leaving today. And I thought that was the most courageous thing I have ever heard. She prioritized her family. She had an amazing job and she was like, I'm out. And at that moment, I was like, oh my gosh, like that, I want that kind of freedom. It was like freedom, right? Because we were so, intense when it came to work. And she left that day, that was it. And from that moment, I knew I wanted to leave and be just like her. And so I ultimately did it. I left. It's great. Best thing I ever did.
Latrice?
I worked in corporate America for 20 plus years and I had my sons. I was a single mom, divorcee. So I had my sons and I worked in corporate America, but I always put them first. No matter what they had going on, because they only had me, I put them first and I tried to be at everything that they had, working around that. So I worked a lot of temporary positions so that I could have my flexibility to be there for them. But all those years in corporate America, I hated it. I despised it. And I've always been entrepreneurial. I wanted more. I wanted to do something in what my passion was, which was fashion. And so once my mom was a stroke victim, and I quit everything to take care of her. So I kept her for 4 years, and during that time, um, I started a couple of businesses. So I dabbled in that, and I tried to do that along with taking care of my mom and raising my sons. And I was hooked. I knew I was addicted because I didn't have a schedule anymore. I didn't have to be somewhere 8 to 5 and driving home. I had to drive, first of all, an hour to work daily because I lived in a very small town in South Carolina. And I had to go to Charlotte in order to have a decent paying job in order to take care of us. So driving home back and forth an hour a day got really old. And I just wanted my own thing. So once again, I started a couple of things that I could do while I was taking care of them. One was a cleaning service, one was a wedding coordination, planning, decorating business. So those things I could do on the side. So that's how I got started. But I always knew that corporate America wasn't it for me. I never tried to get into management because I didn't want to manage people. I just wanted to go and get my paycheck, and I wanted to take care of my home and leave and not take anything home with me. So that was when I knew.
Chanel?
So I'm a little different. I was in the medical field. I've been in the medical field since I was 17. Me and Terrence, I've been knowing him since we were children, but we got married when I was 28. So at this point, I've been in the medical field for almost 10, 11 years. So he owned his business since he was 18 years old. So his business is about 10 years old now. Um, and it just was, I would work all day, triaging between 30 and 40 clients a day, coming home, trying to do invoices, stay on top of the books, just try to help him with the admin stuff. It just became too much. And then we used to sit and talk about how we wanted to own a bunch of different small businesses. So when we decided to bring me out of work because I was tired of going to work. I was tired of like managing people, trying to come home. The kids were in daycare. We had 6 small kids at the time. So it was like I could not go to work and save on daycare, but I'm not really a kid person, so I ain't really want to be in the house with the kids. There was a lot going on. But so I realized when I came out so that we can open up a second business, like, oh, I like this freedom. I'm not too tired for the kids to be in rec games, and I can put them in different activities. And I like, being at home and being available to Terrence to help out with the business during the day. So I didn't have to do everything at night. So once I got that first little taste of freedom where I could do what I wanted to do, I was like, oh, I ain't going back to work. That's it. So that was it for me.
What are some of the challenges and the benefits of being a CEO?
Ooh, managing people is my number one,
Challenge?
yes, yes. And time management. Just because nobody really holds you accountable. So I can get up and go to the office or not get up and go to the office. I can work from home, which is really a distraction with the kids right now because they're here virtual learning. So time management and learning how to manage people and communicate with different people because everybody doesn't have the same communication skills or even have communication skills. So it's a lot for me managing people. So that's my number one struggle is managing people.
So that's your challenge. What's your benefit of being a CEO?
Definitely my freedom. Definitely helping people grow. Because I feel like anybody that comes and works for me, it's my opportunity to expose them to different things, to help them with their communication. I like helping people. So I feel like if anybody that comes that gets attached to me, for one reason or another, God sent them to me, and there's something there for me to give them or something for me to get from them. So that's the benefit of being a CEO, like all the different people I get to meet.
I was going to say actually that in addition to managing people, it's finding the right people to work for you because not everyone has the same hustle mentality that entrepreneurs typically have. And so just finding the right people to fill the roles has been a challenge. Also, in the organization that I helped to start, we were Black women who were in the technology space, and just being respected as CEOs in tech was definitely a challenge. You know, being a Black woman, being in tech, it's like unicorn. You know, so that was sort of hard, but definitely the benefit for me is freedom and flexibility. You know, I was able to. You guys talked about your children, but I was definitely able to spend time with my kids. I was at everything. I was head of the PTA. I was like, you know, baking cookies from scratch, you know, doing all that stuff. And it was awesome. And I wouldn't trade that for the world. So definitely just the flexibility and freedom of managing your own schedule.
Latrice.
Mine is challenging because I'm a one woman show, basically, with all of these businesses. So we're in position now where we're getting ready to get staffing, and staffing that we can rely on. So that has been my challenge because the lines were blurred for a long time, and I've now spend 40 hours a week at least in front of this computer. But I got to the point of stopping at a certain time and taking care of self, because you can't do everything in a day. I actually don't have enough hours in a day, so I had to just make a stopping point in the day so that I can do other things. And the benefits of being an entrepreneur is definitely your freedom. You don't have to clock in to anyone or answer to anyone. It's all about you. And for me, it's about the purpose that God put in me that I'm trying to execute and bring to pass.
Okay. So were you a entrepreneur slash CEO before or after you have got married? This is a two-part question. And if it was after you got married, how did you convince or even get your husband to agree on the fact that I'm leaving my job and I'm starting my business? Because you go from now two incomes in a household to like, okay, I'm not doing this no more.
One and a half.
Mine was unique in that when I did, like I told you earlier, I dabbled in entrepreneurship while I was keeping my mom, but we weren't together then. When we got together, I had just been laid off from a corporate America job because I had moved to a new area to start a new life after divorce. And so I was, like I said, was working with corporate America and was laid off from my job, which was a blessing because I prayed for it. So I got a severance package and I was happy. So during the time that we met, I was on my severance pay, and I never did go back to work. But because he came into my life, that is when my true dream of opening a bridal shop came to pass. So he brought the 40-foot RV, and we honed in on a new idea, innovation of putting a bridal shop in an RV. So he was, at first, because it was his RV, of course, he was like, "You're not going to tear up my RV." Of course I did. So, and now we started that in 2016. So 4 years later, here we are.
Darlene, how did you tell him that I'm leaving?
You know, it's interesting. I have a similar story in that my mom became ill. So after I was inspired by the editor in chief to leave and start my business. I sort of had to come up with a plan. But what happened at the same time was that my mother became sick with cancer, and as an only child, I again was just overwhelmed at work. I was doing all this stuff. I had two young children and a husband, and I wanted to spend time with my mom and I wanted to spend time with my kids. So I actually took a sabbatical, a short sabbatical first. And then I was like, this is awesome. I need to stay home. But I went back to work 2 days a week. But I was trying to fit 5 days worth of work into 2 days, which wasn't working either. So I just kind of slid out, and I think because I didn't really have to convince my husband because he saw what was going on. He knew what my schedule was like. He knew what I was going through with my mom. And he just kind of was, riding. Like he didn't, I don't think I ever asked and said, this is what I want to do. Are you good with that? Can you support me? It was just like, this is what I'm doing because I got to do this thing. And he was with it. And that's, I would have to say, super important to have a partner that will support you no matter what. You know what I'm saying? And he just did that. He did that for me. I never asked. I just kind of did it. And he's been rocking with me ever since. We got some highs and some lows, baby, but we good now.
Chanel.
Again, I'm a little different. Parents basically had to beg me to quit my job because I'm like, no, like I've been on my own since I was 17. I got these 2 kids I brought into this marriage with me. Like I'm used to having my own money, like being able to do what I want to do. Like you at the house paying the bills and I can spend your money before I spend my money. That's nice. But I just wanted to have my own just because I was used to it. But we just got so busy. The company grew really fast. The detail shop that we have that I had to come out. So it was a conversation like it's that time. Like you got to come home, and you can't be at work. We're trying to birth another business. So it was just it was each. I had to come out of work so that we can do all these other things.
So my topic tonight is how do you balance being a wife and a boss? I'm just saying. How do you balance that?
I live with my husband and I work with my husband all day long. Okay? I eat lunch with him. I eat breakfast with him at dinner. Like I'm with him every single moment of my life. So for me, so some days I go to the office, some days I stay home, some days he goes to the office. So we're not always in the same space because we will get on each other's nerves. Like we human. What we did do, like Miss Latricia was saying, we don't answer the phones after a certain time, right? So when the children were in school, because they're virtual now, I would make sure I was home at 3 to get them off the bus, do homework, start dinner. Parents can work until 6, 7, 8 o'clock at night, if you wanted to, if we need to get things done. But I would make sure I was home and we don't answer the phones. Like the businesses close at 5:30, 6 o'clock and leave a message and we'll get back to you the next day. But it took us years to get to that place because we felt like the customers, we needed to be available for the customers. And it was just stressful because home was work and there was never you never felt like you were off. So we started leaving the phones. We have 5 cell phones. So right now we only have 3 that are 2 personal phones and 1 business phone that we have to keep on us because that business 24 hours. But that's how I balance it. I leave work at the office now and I'm able to come home and just be a mom and be a wife every single day. So I have a cutoff limit. That's how I balance it. And I have my me time. I go get my hair done, my nails done. I have girls outings. I'm not a boss and a mom and a wife like all the time. I have Chanel time. And I think that's really important to have some time for yourself on top of everything that you're doing.
Darlene.
Yeah, I had to learn through counseling even that I needed to give time to my husband. So, it was work, it was the kids, and he was, neglected from how he felt he's being neglected to some degree. So like dinner, for instance, I can cook dinner in like 10 minutes, but he wanted like give a little extra effort, to dinner. Especially because when I left and I started a company where I was producing events all over the country and I would do all these elaborate things for other people. And he's like, can I get like a real plate, for dinner? Like, can you like put a little time? So I had to just make sure that I, devoted time to him. I was always about me and taking care of me, making sure that I'm healthy and well and, getting massages and all of that. But he was being left out. And so that changed. And I just had to uh, set up different compartments. You know what I'm saying? Like make sure that I spend enough time with him, spend enough time with the kids. I do it for me too. And like you all said, turning off your phones at a certain time, not answering, starting work at a certain time, breaking for lunch. Like really setting a schedule so that you can do all the things and that everyone's needs are met. It's certainly not easy, but it's doable, but you have to like put effort into it.
So it has to be intentional.
It has to be intentional. Everything has to be intentional. Like you have to get your nails done. You have to cook dinner. You have to, I made a point of, buying like, nighties. You know what I'm saying? Like cute little bedtime stuff just so I can be cute at night because, otherwise I'm looking like most of us look at night, right? Like we're whatever. You wearing whatever, you putting your scarf on, it's not sexy. You know what I'm saying? So I'm intentional about that too. Like, oh, let me pick up something and try to, jazz up the bedroom. But yeah, intentionality is everything.
I want to say this. It's gonna sound crazy, right? But I tell wives this all the time. Like, I hate when I say this, but I'm gonna just say it. I do not schedule sex, but I do make sure that I'm available like every other day.
Mm.
Because if I didn't put myself on basically like this is what it needs to happen because this is one of my husband needs, then I could go to sleep every night at 8 o'clock and it'd be 2 weeks before I know it because I'm tired. I've been running all day. So so I just want to throw that out there. Like I do make myself available, like no matter what. So I'll like if I know it's that day, it's every other day. I come home from the office a little early and I cook dinner a little early. And I try to not to I'll drink a cup of coffee, I'll do whatever I gotta do so I'm not tired because it's important. I think I misunderstood the question too first when I first answered it too. So that's one of the things I do to make sure I'm being a good wife. I try to cook twice a week, maybe even out DoorDash food. I'll put it on a plate because so it's just we're tired. Like it's a lot trying to run one, two, three, or six businesses. Like it's a lot. But I do want women to know that it's important to be available to
And
have sex.
the other thing I would add too that helps me balance is getting help. So I remember I was feeling crazy because all week you're working crazy, this and that, and then the weekend comes and you're like cleaning and all day and cooking, and my girlfriend was like, "You should get a cleaner lady. It's the best thing I ever did, and you won't regret it." So I hired a cleaning lady, and it was like the best thing I ever did.
I
And
feel
then
so guilty about that. I had one lady come out one time and I'm like, yo, you're not that busy. You can't clean your house. Like, it's lazy. I
you
beat myself
know,
up about it.
but that's what we do as Black women, especially. We're like, we feel guilty about that kind of stuff, and we shouldn't. So, like my laundry, I'll do laundry, but the sheets, which I have a struggle bus trying to fold them, I
Yeah.
send them to the laundromat, and they bust them down perfect. They come back perfect, right?
Okay.
Clean a lady, anything I could do to help me. Like you said, DoorDash, even that helps you, right? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
anything to try to alleviate and make your life just a little bit easier is definitely how you maintain balance. And you should not, no one should feel guilty about that.
Okay.
Ever.
So you do those things to help free up time to keep the balance in the relationship.
That's right.
I completely agree. I get up in the morning and before I get on the computer, because like I said, that's where I spend half my life. Before I get on the computer, my husband is working from home now. While he's working from home, I make sure the first thing I do after praying is to get up and fix breakfast for him to make sure he has something to start his day. So that is a daily thing that I do. And I need it for myself so that I can eat right because that's important too during the day. You know, we get so busy, sometimes we go without eating for hours, and that's not good for us. So I do that to, you know, first of all, because I feel like that's my responsibility to him. He's working, you know, to take care of the home so I can cook breakfast for him. And I cook about 3 times a week. I told him when we got together, I do not cook every day. So hopefully you're okay with maybe 3 times a week. So that's what we do. He's fed. He's definitely taken care of. And like I said earlier, I make it an intentional effort to shut down things. Now there are some things that I have deadlines for, and I may stay up all night working on a magazine or whatever. But when I do that, I usually stop everything when he's off work and I give him time. I think of little things that we can do. I try to do exercises, games of couples games so that we can be close. And, you know, it just brings you down, especially in light of COVID and everything. And we're here 24/7 with each other. We do everything together. We work together, you know, outside of his contract job. You know, we have the businesses together. So we're always with each other. So it's important that we de-stress and we do things to make us close and intimate. So I try to think of activities. We do baths together with a jetted tub. We do things like that just to keep things alive. So we are intentional about giving each other time at the end of the day. And like I tell him, you know, I told him, I said, he has a lot going on right now. He's a part of a group and classes and all this other kind of stuff. I told him, first of what's most important is me and you. That's got to be right before any of this other stuff can take place. Because if we're not in a good space, that stuff is going to be like a true burden to both of us. So we are intentional about giving each other time.
So how do you build your business and yet still please your mate?
Well, we respect each other, first of all. We don't always agree on everything as far as the business is concerned. And my husband is the type that has to see things. I have the vision and he has the execution. So he doesn't always see what I see. So, you know, we have some passionate conversations and but at the end of the day, we just make sure that we respect each other and, you know, bring it to each other to make sure that everything is okay.
Chanel?
Yes. Yeah, me and Terrence are the complete opposite. He's the visionary, but I'm like the person that can do all the back end stuff. So, and he'll jump. I'm like, wait, we have not asked enough questions. We have not we have not secured everything. We can't just go do stuff now. So I appreciate him for valuing my opinion and having conversations with me and taking what I say into consideration. So like she was saying, respect goes a long way. Um, I think that's it. I like just validating each other and you know, we make sure we tell each other we appreciate, thank you. I tell him thank you for, you know, doing we have roles in the businesses. You took care of this. I didn't have to worry about it. Thank you. It's just constant appreciation on both ends, just to let everybody know I appreciate you doing your part and holding up your end and I don't have to worry about it. So I think I'm pleased with that. I'm sure he's pleased with that as well.
So, Darlene, before you answer yours, because you have Latricia and Chanel, they are business owners, but they are partners with their mates. And you're the opposite. So you're the business owner and you're not a partner with your mate. So how do you build your business yet still build your relationship and your marriage? When do you say, you know what, I'm no longer, I walk into the house, I'm not the CEO now, I'm the wife?
Yeah, it's kind of it's interesting because what happens is I will try to, focus on whatever we're doing, when the workday ends. So I had to set that time, like, all right, 5, 6 o'clock, I need to be done. I don't do business in bed, I don't whatever. But interestingly, like, I'll get a phone call, let's say it's someone calling from the West Coast. It's, 8 o'clock at night, my time. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not answering that. And he's like, why don't you answer it? You should answer it. You're a business owner. You should answer it. And so I have to be like, no, because I have to set boundaries. And so again, it's just the intentionality of, making sure that I'm paying attention to his needs, but at the same time, devoting my time fully to work during the day. And my husband is retired, so he's around all the time. You know what I mean? He's around all the time. And he's like, he's chilling, doing him. You know what I'm saying? Like, what you doing? I'm like, I'm working. And I'm just trying to stay focused, and then just separating the time. One of the things that we had to do, I don't know if any of you guys have done this, but we took the love language test where we had to figure out what's the person's love language. So for me, I like, gifts, and I like, service, meaning fix the doorknob, put gas in my car, like that kind of thing will, it's a drop panty moment, right? But for him, it was quality time, like spending time together. That was important to him. I didn't know that. You know what I'm saying? Because most dudes, I don't know what most dudes do, but that's what he was into. And so I had to recognize that and know that if I'm cooking dinner and all that stuff to him, that's not showing love, right? He's not the service guy. He's not appreciative of service. What he's appreciative of is me spending time with him. So once I learned that, then I knew, I'm like, oh, let me just go sit down and watch it, watch the game with him. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's gonna make him happy. Like, he's good with that. So that was important. And really it's just tapping into your partner's feelings, needs, and desires, and meeting them, and not, losing yourself because of it, right? I don't lose anything by doing that for him. I know he likes it. Doesn't bother me. Fine, I'll watch the game with you. He's all excited. He's so excited. Or like I cook I'll make it now, for when before COVID, when sports were really a thing, I started to make these beautiful platters of like finger foods for him, and a cloth napkin, because he's used to seeing me do that kind of stuff for other people. So now I'm doing it at home for him, and he's like, oh my God, it's like the best thing ever. So really I'm just tapping into what his needs are and giving him that time.
Okay. So what advice would you give to the wife, the mother, the woman watching that's afraid to step out there and start her own business?
Okay, so I'm just gonna start because you guys sound like you got a lot of businesses going on, which is amazing. But so I got some really good advice from one of the founders of Essence, Ed Lewis. I spent a little time with him and asked him, what advice would he give? And I've learned this. You just have to step out. We live one life, just one life that we know of. And you have to step out on faith. And I learned a long time ago that anything is possible. When I was in college, I would call the alumni to ask for donations, right? And I would see what their major was and ask them what they do. And it was totally unrelated. It was always totally unrelated. So then at that point, I was like, okay, so people can do anything they want if they put their minds to it. But for people who are afraid, one, step out on faith. But two, what you need to do is to know how much do I have to earn in order for this not to be a side hustle, for this to be a full-time thing. And what you do is you work on this side hustle until you get to that point where you're bringing in the money that you know you need every month to maintain. And that way you're comfortable with doing it. It's all about your finances. Your finances have got to be in order and on point. And if you can't get to that point, then you might want to just stay stay doing what you're doing. But really it's about faith and finances, you know. That's what I would say. And a support system. So your
Yes.
partner, or whether it be if you're a single mom and your mom can help you babysit the kids, or you got a group of girlfriends that support you, you need some sort of support system to help you. So even if it's a therapist or whatever, like get the support that you need in order to accomplish your business.
I was gonna say just make sure you jump, but jump with a plan, like she was saying, because if you just jump out there, the same bills that you pay every single month are gonna be there without this stable income that you're used to. And what I see all the time is people get frustrated. But if you jump with the plan, like she was saying, like work it on the side while you keep your 9 to 5 until you get to a place where it's actually able to carry you. And then when you can devote all of your time to it because you were able to afford to quit your 9 to 5 job, then your income will double because you'll have the time to dedicate to it. So that's what I tell everybody, like just jump with a plan. So that's my advice.
And I would say to most definitely jump. Um, my life was different in that once, like I said before, I was a divorcee. I had small children, and I always wanted my own business. So all these years, I have basically been building it. So I have had to jump on a lot of things. That doesn't mean that it came forth in that moment or in that year or 5 years from that. But I was working my plan. I had my business plan 10 years or more before I actually started the business. So there's something that you can be doing until it comes to fruition. You can be doing your business plan. You can be researching. You can be talking to people in the industry. I believe that God gave us all a gift, and I believe that gift makes room for us. Everybody's not entrepreneurial. However, I do believe that if that is something so deep inside of you, like it is for me, or like it was for me, then I think it's going to come to pass. But you have to work that plan in order for it to come to pass. So when I say jump, that means jump in doing what you need to do to make it happen, because I found that whatever you do, and if it's God's plan for you, He will meet you there. And He will open up the doors, the windows, or whatever. And He'll put people in your path, and He'll help you get to wherever it is you're supposed to be. And I did a lot of things without money. It doesn't take money to do everything. God gave us all this right here. We have knowledge and we can utilize that, and that gets us a long way.
We're getting ready to take. We get ready to take some. I'm gonna let you finish, but we get ready. I want them to start typing in some questions because we're going to take some questions from those that's watching. But go ahead, Darlene.
Yeah, I wanted to also add, I mentioned earlier that I spent time in the technology space. And one of the things that we've learned is that in tech, people, there's this ideology of fail fast. So you work on the idea, you see if the idea works, see if you got customers, see if it works, and if it doesn't, move on to the next idea. Sometimes we get into these businesses and situations where we're wedded to this idea and we're trying to make it work, and everything in the universe is telling you it ain't working, but you keep putting good money after bad, and you keep going, and struggling or whatever. So it's important to really just think about what you're doing, and if it's not working, move on. Figure out something else to do, and not be so personal, taking it personally. You know what I'm saying? So
I
I would
agree
just
with that. I agree with that. And sometimes what I started out in is not where I am now. Like with COVID, you have to pivot sometimes. And one thing leads to another. So don't be so hard set on what you think something should be because it evolves over time. And it's not what you started with is not always what you end up with, but it's where you're supposed to be.
So, what would you say to the person that just started and it's not working? How do I know when to throw it in and try something else, or do I just keep pursuing after it?
I'm sorry. I like Kenny Rogers' song. You got to know when to fold them and know when to hold them. I think if you've beaten something so and it said and it's time to move on to something else, I believe in that. And like that's what I'm piggybacking off of what I just said. I think some things lead to other things, and that's actually what you're supposed to be doing. That's what I believe.
So I guess I need to rework because so you have somebody like a Tyler Perry. Can you imagine if Tyler Perry would have stopped? So what is, I guess, the breaking point? What is that point that you say, okay, that's enough? Because here it is. He went through a situation where he was homeless. He was sleeping in his car. The average person would have said, okay, you need to go get a job. You need to do something else. But just imagine if he would have stopped and went and got a job and did something else, he would not be a household name now. So my question to you is, when do I say enough is enough? I should stop. What would make you stop?
I don't know how to answer that, but I do want to say this, that when something is for you, like it's like your calling or whatever it is, it pulls on you, right? And no matter what you do, you almost can't quit. Like she was saying, like stuff will keep happening. Um, I can't explain it, like, but whatever your destiny is attracted to you. So whatever you I know what I'm trying to say, but I can't say it. So if I started, so my passion is marriage, right? So if I went and started a jewelry line, I could probably get frustrated with that and like throw it to the side. Maybe I'll pick it back up in 2 or 3 months. But almost certainly, I'm gonna have a wife that comes to me. I'm gonna have somebody that say, "Oh, why you haven't posted anything about marriage recently? I'm missing your stuff." Like God will send you little signs that'll keep you encouraged on your way. So, like, I got a photography studio. I love the studio or whatever. It's a business to me. If it closed down, I miss it or whatever, but it wouldn't be the end of the world to me. And if it fails, I would look at it as a lesson and try to figure out why did that business fail. But my marriage ministry and stuff that I do with women, like I take that personal. If something happens or I miss something or I didn't get to a wife in time or somebody getting a divorce or something, like it stresses me out. So I think it's a difference in when you know something is really what you're supposed to be doing versus when you're forcing something. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
Darlene?
Yeah, I totally got what you were saying, Chanel. And I think that's probably what happened to Tyler Perry, right? He's sleeping in his car and whatever, but then he puts on a play and it's like sold out. And it might have just, paid everybody and paid the bills, and maybe it wasn't enough for him to, to come up, but he was selling out every time. Like there was a customer, there was somebody who was interested in his thing. The same with a product or a service. If you're like spending money, and still don't have no customers, you should probably stop. When you're starting a business, though, I think you should give yourself a timeline, a time frame, right? I'm going to give it a year. And really, that's what I'm doing right now. I took a sabbatical earlier this year that ended in August. I've known for many years that I want to produce, and I'm starting to produce. And I'm like, I'm going to do this for a year. And if it doesn't work out, then I might need to start thinking about something else. But I'm going hard in the paint for a year. And right out the gate, as soon as I put it out there, I already am producing a short film, alongside Will Smith's producer. The producer of Mission Impossible is interested in a project that my team submitted, to her. So it's like she said, God will start putting things in your path to know that you're on the right path. I'm executive producing a podcast. Like all this stuff happened within a month of me saying publicly to my people, this is what I'm doing. And so I think you just know, but formally, I would say give yourself a timeline. You know, I'm going to do this for a year. I'm going to do this for 6 months. You need to give it a year at least. But I think I just saying I didn't sell one shirt in a whole year. I think I better stop. You know what I'm saying? Don't nobody like my cookies. My cookies ain't nobody buying my cookies. I don't have no repeat customers. I should probably stop.
I need to do something else. I need to stop cooking.
Right.
What was you getting ready to say, Latrice? Okay.
The question again. Oh, about your to give the advice to give to women and mothers. That was basically it. I just feel like if you have a passion, or if you feel like I felt for so many years that you are an entrepreneur, then I think you need to, in prayer and in knowing what your passion is, I think you should step out on faith. I really do. And like I said, you don't have to give up anything to start doing that, because I believe your gift will make room for you. So if you're doing that on the side, you're so passionate about something, doing it on the side, and it booms, or but you're still afraid to just step out. I mean, that's where I would suggest you talk with someone else who has done it. A lot of people are afraid. I've always been a risk taker. So to me, it's no big deal, because all I can do is fail, and then I'm going to get back up and do something else. That's just me. But it's not like that. Some people are afraid of failure, but that's a part of it. You're going to fail a couple of times in something, in order to be successful. And then that, once again, I believe that it just shows you who you are, or who you're purposed to be in life. I believe it builds you.
Would you suggest when you first start going into business to get a mentor?
It would help if you're the type of being afraid. Yes, I do. I think you should have a mentor. Otherwise, I think if you talk with someone in the field that you're interested in going into, I think that's enough. You don't always have to pay. People, and I can speak to this because people don't always have the money, and they let that stop them. Lack of money should not stop you from doing whatever it is you're supposed to be doing in life.
Yeah, a lot of times, specifically Black women, we don't ask for help, right? We're so accustomed to Black girl magic, being Superwoman and carrying the race on our back and all this stuff, and we don't ask for help. And so it may not be a mentor, but like Latrice said, it's, speaking to someone who's done it before, reading books, asking for help. You got to ask, because people genuinely, I think, want to help, but they don't maybe know specifically what that is. And that help is maybe, let's say my husband was really great at math. Can you help me with my books?
Yeah.
Or if your best friend is really good at writing, can you read this thing that I wrote and make sure that it's whatever. Just little things like that can be helpful. But definitely reading books in the industry that you're interested in is important. What I found in this tech space was when we asked women, and we work specifically with Black and Latino women from across the country and around the world. But where do they gain knowledge for, starting a business? And most of them were like podcasts and Shark Tank. And I was like, well, that's not really going to get you where you need to go. Like podcasts are good, right? But there's a lot of books out there of people who've already done what it is that you're trying to do, or who can, put you on the right path. And so finding that information and then asking people for help is like critical.
Also, I say this a lot. I say Google is your friend a lot. And when I say that, that's not to rely solely on the internet, but with this age and like my children's age, they have a lot of skills and a lot of talent as well. So we can utilize our children. But when I mention Google is your friend, I find out so much. If there is something that I do not know and I'm lacking knowledge in, if I Google it, I may have to pull up several screens, but 9 times out of 10, there is information out there that will help me get to where I need to go for something else. So it's been a great help to me. There's a lot of free information out here. And once again, there are a lot of people doing it, and everyone, some people are tight-lipped. They don't want you to know the secrets to getting to where they are because some people have a competition complex. But um, those people that will give that information, that's a valuable tool. But otherwise, you can research for yourself, read books, like Darlene said, and search on the internet because it is a wide web internet. It has a lot of information. So you just have to dig and you just have to really look to find the information that you want.
Okay. So before we go, because we got about 9 more minutes, I want y'all to tell us a little bit about what you do and what your business is.
So it sounds like I'll be quick because you guys, like I said, got mad businesses. I need to step my game up a little bit. But I mean, I've gone through different phases. So started out in the fashion space. I was a fashion editor. I was a stylist. I was a writer. I worked in magazines, WL, all that. Did that for many years. Left, started a company where I was producing events and doing public relations. So I worked with people, places, and things. Made a lot of, used all my contacts, my celebrity contacts. Had a lot of things going on there. And then my client, one of my clients was a fashion blogger and asked me to help her with an event. Put together this big event. It was a success. She wanted to start this company, asked me to help her, and it sort of morphed into this huge organization with employees and all that jazz. And I was a partner, but it wasn't where I was passionate. I wasn't passionate about it. So that's when I took a sabbatical earlier this year. I mean, I knew for a while that I wanted to leave, but it was like we were doing great work. It became a nonprofit. We were helping Black women. It was awesome, but it just wasn't what I was passionate about. So I left and started a production company. And so, as I said, I'm producing a short film. I have a few television projects in development. I'm executive producing a podcast with my former business partner, and that's where I'm at right now. I also, because I have this really deep, long, great experience in the event space, is something that I enjoy. And so I'm looking at bringing back an event company because I closed my business before when I went to partner with this organization. But to do my event company, but just a little different because, right, COVID in the future, like what does it look like? So I've been working on some things and I actually have a client already where I'm doing a virtual event. And so I've been doing some smaller, like intimate, highly curated events, again, just because I like it. And I feel like that's going to be like, money, right? Before all the producing starts to reap benefits. So events and production is where I'm at.
Where can we find you if we need to find you on social media?
You can find me on Instagram, Darlene Gillard Jones. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Facebook, Darlene Gillard. My Twitter is Gillard Jones. But you Google me, you can find me. I'm like all over the internet. But definitely, I'm into Instagram these days because to me, I get to look at things that I like to look at, beautiful places, delicious food, stuff like that. So I stay on Instagram. That's where you can find me mostly, and it's my full name. Just DM me.
Chanel.
Okay, so me and my husband, we own 6 businesses in the Hampton Roads area. We have a auto detail shop. We do boats, planes, RVs, all types of stuff. We've had that for 18 years. We have a photography studio that is 2 years old. We rent it out to photographers by the hour. It's called Rent a Set Studios. It's in Virginia Beach. I am a bookkeeper that was kind of birthed out of necessity for everything that we have going on. Plus, we couldn't find a reliable accountant to do anything for us. So I had to learn how to do taxes, payroll, all types of stuff. So that is reliable small business services. And I do new business consulting startup because I hate for somebody to go into a new business and fail, like just because processes aren't in place and their books are all over. So that's another passion we have. We want to actually open up a consulting company to make sure everybody gets off to the right start. We have 2 venues, one in Norfolk, one in Virginia Beach. It's called Event Junkie Venue. You can rent them by the hour for baby showers. Norfolk is big enough for a wedding. It can hold 80 people. And we are working on a boat and RV storage yard. So I'm hoping that'll be up sometime soon. But I am on Facebook. It's Chanel Latham, my name. I post a lot about the businesses there, so all the links are there. And on Instagram, I am Jane of All Trades 757.
What of all trades?
Jane of All Trades.
Ooh, I like it. We'll follow you right now.
All right.
Hello, everyone. I am Latricia Clark Letzinger, and my husband and I own Elegant Occasions Unlimited, and he has started Luxury Fine Jewelers. He is a certified jeweler, one of very few Black-owned jewelers in the United States. So we're proud of that. We started out in a 40-foot RV, as I stated before. We now have a storefront where we're by appointment only. And Elegant Occasions Unlimited is a formal wear boutique. We are by appointment only, so we don't rely on just the open door. So you can't just come into the store like David's Bridal or other bridal shops and just look. Um, so we do give you one-on-one personal detailed service. And I am the creator and editor in chief, publisher of Designer Women magazine. It's a women's magazine, and I am owner of EOU Virtual Alliance, which is a remote hiring staffing company. I own Dating by Design, and that was formed because my husband and I met on a dating site, and I want to help other singles to find their mate because it's a matrimonial dating site. And all members are background checked, and they have to use their full name. So there is that transparency there. I also am founder of Unlimited Elegance Bridal Expo, and we have CNL Consulting Group, my husband and I. We are consultants for anyone wanting to do business with the government. And we are also partners of 3LC LLC. We have partnered with another couple, and we have a company as well. And I am on Facebook as Latricia Clark Letzinger. I'm on Instagram as Latricia Clark Letzinger. And businesses are on Instagram and Facebook as their real names. Only business on Twitter is Dating by Design right now. We are getting ready to do a big marketing, advertising, getting ready to roll out that are on the social media sites. So much more to come.
Well, ladies, that's our time. I'd like to thank y'all for joining me tonight. Those of you that continue to watch, I thank each and every one of y'all. I want y'all to tune in on next week, next Saturday at 5 a. No, I was about to say a.m. 5 p.m. I'm just saying, continue to like us on Facebook. Check us out on Instagram and Twitter. We're also on YouTube and Periscope. Well, that's our time for today. Again, I'm just saying, I'll see you next week.